Recently, I was on Instagram and I was on this woman's account that I follow. She's a really big Instagram following and she's an influencer. She's a mom. She has 4 beautiful kids, beautiful husband, and a dog. They live in this huge house and they literally have the picture perfect life. I follow them because she is one of the most happy, joyful people. Their family's always having fun, being really silly, and they're just kind of like family goals, if that's what you want to call it. I was on her Instagram and I noticed in her bio it said single mom, and I was instantly shocked and just had all these things come into my mind, like what happened, and I was just couldn't believe that her and her husband would ever have a separation or get a divorce. So I kind of, went on the investigator hunt to figure out what happened. She hasn't disclosed anything, the reason why, but her and her husband are separated, and I'm pretty sure that they're getting a divorce because she had been on a date recently. I feel like if you're gonna get a divorce, you probably wouldn't go on a date, or if you weren't gonna get a divorce, then you probably wouldn't go on a date with another man. I know that at the end of the day, social media is just little squares that on Instagram that we post, and we post the best part of our lives. But it is so crazy when you see somebody so happy in a family that looks so happy, that I think they've been married for like 15 years and 4 kids, and they come from like a religious background. You would just be really surprised that would end in divorce. Anybody who gets a divorce has at one point and another said, I could never get a divorce, or they don't imagine on their wedding day, one day they're going to possibly maybe be getting a divorce from their significant other. I've never been through a divorce, but I've heard it's one of the most painful things you could ever go through. It literally feels like you are being like ripped in half. And you are, because you do life with this other person and then you're both glued together and you're just like ripping it apart, and you get some of them and they get some of you, and it's really painful. I have only been married for 2 years, but I honestly can say I understand why people get divorced. I personally would never want to entertain that thought or idea, because of a few reasons, some personal, some just the way that I've grown up and the way that I view God and see God and know God. But I understand how it happens. In AJ and I's first 2 years of marriage, it was really hard, and we had to deal with some really big things. When I say big things, I don't mean addiction or infidelity. There's some things that are really big that takes a lot of growing with both people. But when I say big things, it was fighting all the time. We would both have moments where we would rage, yell at each other, swear at each other. We've thrown things, like we've been crazy. And you wouldn't think that, because if you know us, we're both very like even-tempered people, that we don't ever blow up at people, or we don't really have that much conflict with other people. We have healthy relationships with our friends and family. But when you're married, it's so easy for your emotions to just get so triggered and to want to blame your partner. AJ and I were already going to life consultants at the time, and so we had a few marriage sessions with our life consultant, and essentially he told us that we were both villainizing each other. And that looked like if I was upset, AJ was to blame. If AJ was upset, I was to blame. We both did it. One of the things that we would go into the sessions was stories about, well, he did this, she did this. One thing that I had to work through is that no matter what AJ does to me or says to me, I can still be okay. If he gets really triggered and he's blowing up and freaking out, it's the kid in him. If I choose, or I just naturally do, get triggered and freak out in the same way that he is, that's never going to lead to any type of solution. There's no room for questions. There's no room for investigating what's going on. Why is he feeling like that? What's playing in the past? And when you are saying things big things, big statements that to your spouse that pretty much only like a kid would say, then that probably means it's the kid in you that's being triggered. And it's very hard because you can really create, you can really break a lot of trust with your partner by saying things like, I wish I would have never married you, I don't like you, I hate you. There's like so many things, whether it's been things that AJ and I have said to each other or things that my clients have told me that like their spouses have said between them. One of the things that was really hard for me was breaking the justice button that I have of when AJ would do something and it would upset me, I would respond with, I deserve better than that, or you can't treat me that way, or it was just this kid in me freaking out, knowing that I deserve better but not knowing how to fix it. I eventually came to a point to where if he was freaking out or really upset about something, I could still stay calm and be okay. That means breaking codependency and me letting him manage his emotion, but not letting it bring out my anger or my disappointment or whatever it looks like in that moment. In the moments when AJ has hurt me, whether it's in the moment or after, I have had to learn to build a case for him instead of against him. How many times do we build a case against our partner? We go to friends and family telling them what our husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or wife did, and the family responds with, well, they shouldn't be doing that. At the end of the day, that's never brought anybody any type of solution. So for me, I had to start going to people that would make a case for AJ. So they would say, well, did you ask him why he said that? Or did you ask him why he blew up? Or maybe this is how he could be feeling when you said this. Or, you know, hey, I know AJ, he really loves you. He probably didn't mean to come off that way. You should ask him this. There was always a case being built for him instead of against him. You'll never get anywhere unless you learn to build that case for your partner. Oftentimes, when I tell people that I have learned to take responsibility for me, I've had people say, well, does that mean that AJ just does whatever he wants? Or does that mean there's no accountability for AJ, or he can just now do whatever he wants to because you choose in the moment to just stay calm? And the answer is no. That actually, to me, feels like a very negative response. And here's why. No person, unless maybe you like struggle with mental health or something, no spouse wakes up in the morning and thinks, I would love to get in a screaming, yelling, or intense argument or fight with the person that I'm madly in love with. Yes, people can use fighting to take out their anger, aggression, all of that. But at the end of the day, especially my husband, who is like one of the most sweet and sensitive men that I've ever known, like he's probably actually at the very top, that is not his heart. That's not who he is. I wouldn't have ever married somebody like that. And so for me, I know that, and this actually happened, I stopped yelling back and he started to really feel like this sucks. Fighting sucks. And so then that gave him permission and just realized, okay, Abby's not going to react in a big way, so I'm gonna choose to start responding to her if I'm angry in a different way. Your spouse is going to, whether you're the man or the woman, is going to start to match you and match your energy, unless, you know, again, like mental health, or if they struggle with like bipolar or something, that's like another thing. But at the end of the day, they're going to see how peaceful you are and how content you are and how your joy can't be taken in an instant, and they're gonna want the same thing. They will. And for me, I felt really empowered when if AJ ever said something rude, I learned to heal a lot of the kid wounds I had. So even if he said something like out of his own trigger that it used to hit the kid in me, it doesn't anymore, because I know that that kid is okay, Abby's okay, I'm okay, and whatever he's saying isn't true, or it just doesn't have to hurt me because I know who I am and I love myself and I am happy. And that's not just, I didn't just get there by just telling myself those like 3 or 4 things over and over again. It's been a healing journey. If you are in a relationship like I am, AJ and I aren't passive people. We don't throw the way we feel under the bus, and we don't, like some people say, well, I never fight with my spouse. But then my next question is, okay, do you feel like you're heard, seen, and known in all the areas and things that you would like? Do you feel like he's meeting all the needs that you would like to be met? And it feels the best is when you and your partner can both take responsibility for your own actions. And at the end of the day, when you come to each other with what you need, if AJ comes to me and he says, hey, I feel like you've really been really judgy with me this week. I don't know, it's just an example. I, in the moment, will want to be very defensive and get angry and tell him everything that he's done to me that week, but learning to just hear him out and put my big emotions aside, because at the end of the day, he is my husband and I want him to feel loved by me. And same goes for him. I had to realize in my life, the way that I saw him was the way that I have seen my dad or other men growing up. People, family members, people in the community. The way that you see your spouse often has nothing to do with them, and it has everything to do with your past. And so I had to go on the journey of figuring out my judgments, pain, the accusations I had against men, the hate that I had against men, the way that I thought that all their brains were the same. I had to break all of those lies and all those boxes that I was sitting in, living in, putting AJ in, because that's not who he is. The times when I've had the most breakthrough with AJ is when I'm being completely mean or rude or whatever, and he doesn't get triggered. He just loves me in the moment and just extends kindness and compassion. I can know that I'm safe and calm and then go on the healing journey of just working out whatever trigger I had in that moment. But if AJ were to get triggered every time I was triggered and vice versa, there would never be that amazing moment where your spouse in the moment, instead of reacting or getting mad or saying things like I deserve better or who do you think you're talking to or whatever, fill in the blank, when they get to love you in that moment or you get to love them in the moment, nothing will create a bigger bond. The moments that I've fallen the most in love with AJ is when I know like I'm being a bitch or whatever and I'm just like having the worst attitude, and he just meets me where I'm at and is like, what do you need? Like, why are you so upset? Or, hey, I'm really sorry. Like, I can see that you're really upset. What's going on with you today? That just like breaks down all of my self-protection barriers and creates so much intimacy within our marriage. There's so many other there's so many other tips that I could give you guys. Some being try and do things, even if you hate it, do things for your partner. AJ loves to go shooting, so there's been days where I'm like, hey, let's go to the shooting range and hang out. I don't do it enough, but just try and do things for your partner that they want to do, and try and keep quality time your main focus. That at the end of the day, if AJ and I are not getting enough quality time, I don't feel in love with him, I don't feel connected, we don't have fun, etc. So that's where I'm going to leave this today, and I'll definitely be doing more videos to expand on this. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon.